Examining the Nautilus, we can see how evolution transformed a mere bottom feeder into a buoyant battleship. At its head, a mass of 90 or more muscular tentacles can extend from sheaths to seize its prey. Nautiloids found a way to swim by jet propulsion. Water is taken in and rapidly forced out of a funnel that steers and propels the Nautilus. It evolved from the ancient foot to become like a flexible exhaust pipe that also serves as a rudder. A thin sheet of muscle, the mantle, surrounds the internal organs, while at the same time secreting the hard calcium layers of its famous chambered shell. An ancient Nautilus was the original jaws, the first animal with vertically clamping mouthparts. Within this jaw is its radula, with teeth that can shred a lobster's discarded shell. Every feature of the Nautilus design is a legacy from its ancestors and the world they encountered. In order to stay buoyant as it grows, the Nautilus must remove this seawater from its shell. To do so, it uses a tube called the siphuncle, which spirals through every chamber. Cells in this tube gradually pull the water into the animal's blood system, leaving only gas. The secret to maintaining buoyancy.
The nautilus is a very primitive creature swimming in the ocean today, which has been traced back to a time before there were bony fish and before dinosaurs roamed the earth. Chambered nautiluses are known as living fossils because they have remained virtually unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. It was discovered using DNA techniques that compared tissues from today's animals to those of millions of years old fossil nautiloids. Dating to a time when California and Washington State were under the ocean, these studies confirm the belief that the species Nautilus pompulus is a living fossil. The nautilus is the only living descendant of a group of ocean creatures that thrived in the seas 500 million years ago, when the Earth's continents were still forming. This means that the majority of North America was still underwater when these animals thrived. The chambered nautilus is an invertebrate that is classified as a cephalopod and is part of the mollusk phylum shared with squids and octopi. There are currently 7 species of the nautilus that are known to exist. These range from the Nautilus scrobulaticus, otherwise known as the king nautilus, to the Nautilus stenocephalus, otherwise known as the white patch nautilus. The nautilus is a soft-bodied animal that lives inside its hard external shell. The shell itself has many closed interior chambers or compartments. On average, they weigh about 1.9 pounds, and their shell can be up to 8 inches in diameter, with males having slightly larger shells compared to females. These shells can serve as a defense for the nautilus, as it can fully retract into the shell. Their lifespans are longer than most mollusks, averaging at around 20 years. The nautilus uses a jet propulsion system to move around. This is achieved by the nautilus sucking water into its mantle cavity and blowing it out of the muscular, which allows it to propel itself forward and backward. The shell has another important function, which is to provide an enclosure of a system that enables the nautilus to control its buoyancy. The older, closed chambers of the shell contain an argon-nitrogen gas mixture and a liquid saline solution. The chambers are connected by a tube called a siphuncle that gives the nautilus the ability to change the ratio of liquid to gas, which modifies its weight and allows it to ascend, descend, or stay buoyant in one place. Little is known about nautilus's reproduction in the wild, as most information is based on observations made of animals in protected environments. The nautilus takes 5 to 10 years to reach sexual maturity, a very long time when compared to most other cephalopods. The male uses his tentacle to hold onto the female shell while using a specifically modified group of arms called the spadics to transfer a sperm packet into the female's mantle cavity. When the female is inseminated, she will produce up to 20 eggs. She then uses her tentacles to attach each egg to a hard surface where it remains for 9 to 12 months before emerging as a 3-centimeter hatchling. The nautilus is a nocturnal, opportunistic feeder that uses tentacles that are rigid and have grooves that allow them to grip prey and pull them into its mouth. It is a carnivorous animal that eats musceloids, shrimp, crabs, fishes, dead animals, and occasionally other nautiluses. It is believed that prey is detected by smell, since the animal lacks good vision due to their eye working as a pinhole camera. After the prey is caught by the tentacles, the nautilus will bring it into its mouth and use its beak-like jaw to tear the food into pieces that can fit into the radula, where there is a second mouth that allows the food to be shredded even finer before digestion. Species of the chambered nautilus are typically found in the Indo-Pacific region in Southeast Asia and Australia. They can also be found along the coasts of India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Australia, and many Polynesian islands. They can dive at depths of up to 2,300 feet below sea level and are commonly found at 250 feet for feeding around coral reefs. Nautiluses inhabit coral reefs situated on steep slopes. This is so they can be provided with protection from predators, and so they can prey on the inhabitants of the reef. Unlike other shelled invertebrates, nautiluses live in water columns rather than relying on the sea floor for food and shelter. They also are incapable of traversing deep oceans and tend to stay at their reef rather than move from one to another. There is no official concern about nautilus's populations currently, as they are not on any endangered species lists. There were concerns raised, though, at the 17th Cities Convention, in which conservationists and scientists from around the world gathered to talk about species populations that humans are affecting. In this meeting, there was a new international regulation passed that requires precise counting of nautical shells in any transaction across the world. This was implemented to try and stop the overfishing of nautiluses and keep the population at a sustainable level such as it currently is. Their ecosystem, however, is becoming endangered as pollution and other human causes are dwindling the coral reef populations of the ocean that it inhabits.